know why I bought a ginger beer. I've never enjoyed ginger beer, but I saw it in the shop and I was like, I'll get a ginger beer. Never once enjoyed it. Hello everybody, today we're doing something a little bit out of my comfort zone. We're shooting in a very iconic location on the Great Ocean Road. So today we're doing sunset at the Gibson Steps on the Great Ocean Road. You might have heard of the 12 Apostles if you're not from Australia. It's sort of just down the road from there. A little bit quieter and less well known than 12 Apostles, but a similar situation going on. I came out here on an impulse today. I had a sunrise shoot this morning, didn't go well, just bad conditions, didn't get any good photos, so impulsively I decided, screw it, let's drive out here this afternoon and do sunset from here. So starting this video in the car just in case it's busy down there and I'm not confident enough to film in front of people. Should be okay though, hopefully by sunset it clears out a little bit and I'll have the place more or less to myself. We'll see what happens, hopefully we can get a good photo. There's quite a bit of cloud up in the sky, so sunset should be alright if we have any luck. Either way though, it should be a good experience and a bit of exposure therapy for me being in a more busy location. So let's get out of the car and head down there. So whenever I think about shooting somewhere iconic or popular like this place, I kind of have two justifications or excuses in my head not to do that. The first is the obvious one, that it's going to be super popular and busy and full of people, which in this case is true, but is that really a big deal? The second excuse I make is that if it's a popular, well-known, iconic location, I'm obviously not going to be the first photographer who has shot it. So part of the way I think goes, if hundreds of thousands of other photographers have been here before me, is there anything that I can do that's going to be different or unique or worthwhile that someone else hasn't already beat me to? Ultimately, both those excuses are pretty dumb because, as you can see behind me, this is such an awesome spot, and by not coming here because of other people, I'm just robbing myself of getting to visit an awesome location like this one. Even if the photo I take today isn't anything different or crazy or groundbreaking compared to what other people have done, it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day I should just be here for me and be creating something that means something to me. And then it being busy obviously is just a slight annoyance, but I can get around that hopefully, and that being said, it should even clear up by sunset. So yeah, just thought I'd share that. If anyone else out there has the same sort of thought processes that I do with this sort of stuff, there's my thoughts on the situation. You guys have to warn me if someone's walking up behind me. That's the deal. So I've still got about an hour and a half before the sun sets, which gives me a lot of time to sort of muck around and do some styles of photos that I wouldn't normally do. So I'm being a bit artistic, dare I say, at the moment, doing some longer exposures of 30 seconds with my 10-stop ND filter. I actually just took it off because I'm planning on doing some exposure bracketing. So I've got my 10-stop 30-second shot, which looks like this. And then now I've switched to a faster shutter speed where I'm waiting for some seagulls to fly around the top of the pillar there. And then planning on blending those two together to sort of create something a bit cool and abstract with blurry, long exposure water and then some seagulls moving fast in the sky. So I'm just gonna sit here and hang out until some seagulls fly past. Filming this right on the base of the cliff, so I don't think you're meant to do that, but what's the worst that could happen? The whole cliff falls on me and I get brutally crushed by tons of rock. So I mentioned in the car that I had a failed sunrise shoot this morning, I think. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that. I haven't been feeling great creatively the last week or so. I had a few things happen related to my creative endeavors that changed would be a diplomatic way to say it. So I've kind of been feeling like I'm in a bit of a rut. And this morning, going out for sunrise and kind of putting a lot of stake on that, emotionally and creatively, to sort of get back in the swing of things, to have that not work out was sort of a real kick in the teeth for me, as they say. Here you go, come here. There's a seagull just there. I don't know if you can see him yet. But yeah, so I decided on a whim after that to kind of come here and have some time in the car to think and give things another crack. And I'm glad I did, because even if I don't walk away with a photo that I'm happy with today, being out here is pretty cool. And, oh, is he there? Oh, there he is. Hello. I like seagulls. So yeah, I decided on a whim to come here and take my chances again, which I'm glad I did, because even if I don't walk away with a good photo today, it's really cool to be here and experience a new location that I've been wanting to come to, but also avoiding coming to because of what we spoke about earlier. That in itself feels like a good achievement, and a photo from here on will be just a bonus. I don't really have a point to what I'm saying. I just thought I'd fill you guys in on where my headspace is at the moment. So here's my plan for when the sun sets. About 20 minutes or so it should start kicking off a bit. We have some clouds sitting just over the horizon over there, so with any luck we'll make it a little bit of colour. But my plan is, behind me there's these two rocks, which I think naturally I'm going to use those as my foreground, which I imagine is what every photographer who comes here does. But that doesn't matter, as we talked about earlier. It doesn't matter what other people do, this is for me. So I'm going to use those two rocks as my foreground, which will lead us straight up to that sand stack pillar, apostle, whatever you want to, I don't know what the correct term is. But it'll lead us straight up to that. And with any luck, that's where the sun's going to be setting to, up behind it. So we'll get some, hopefully, some colour or some golden light at the very least, happening out behind the sand stack pillar thing. So yeah, that's the plan. It's good to have a plan. I never have plans. So the sun is now finally setting, and I'm just here in my spot waiting for a wave to come in. I've already got a few shots when I have gotten a rogue wave, but it's hard to get a wave lining up with the colour happening. So I'm just waiting, crossing my fingers and hoping that will happen at some point, which might be right now. Come on. Not quite. There is some cloud that's popping off over on the horizon. We might get a wave right now. Come on, a little bit further. Close, but not quite. So settings wise, I'm at f18 at the moment with about 1/3 of a second. My shutter speed I'm just changing as it gets darker. I like having a little bit of blur in this sort of shot to get the movement in the wave happening. Not quite. To hopefully get, if we do get a wave, to get some movement in that wave happening. So I'm just changing my shutter speed in accordance to whatever the light's doing. Oh, here we go. Come on. So close. And then f18, just because that's allowing me to get that shutter speed nice and slow without having to put a filter on. Just got my polarizer going to cut off any ugly glare and also darken the image overall a little bit, give a little bit of pop and some vibrance. The sky's actually going really nice and cool and gold and pastel-y, so yeah, everything's going to plan. It was great too, having plenty of time to find this composition, but it gave me a lot of time to overthink it too. The main thing I was not sure about was whether or not to include the cliffs that are actually on the coast on the right hand side in the shot or not. I've ended up settling on including it because I feel like that gives me a lot of balance from the rock in the foreground being on the left hand bottom corner, and that hole in between the sand stack and the cliff line is sort of like giving it some balance between the bottom left and the top right. Almost like the rock's a golf ball and the hole, the gap between the two sand stacks is the golf ball hole. Is that a good analogy? I've had a long day.
It's almost like I can't stop. Can't stop. Yeah, yeah. Can't stop. No, no. I can't stop.
Well, everybody, I think that's going to be about it for me. I've got about a 2-hour drive home and I need to eat something, and I've got a lot of steps to climb up. So I'm going to get on out of here. Today was an interesting one. This video I had some ups and downs making this video, so thank you for joining me on it. As always, it does mean a lot. Hopefully you got something out of the video photography wise, or you got something out of my rambling earlier. Either way, thank you so much. And yeah, that's about all I've got to say. I'll see you next week, next Sunday for our next video. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. The like button helps too. I feel cringy saying that, so but if you want to do it, that'd be great. But until next time, guys, take care, and I'll see you soon.
You're never ever scared of the dark, so